So I saw a really disturbing YouTube video today. The video is called "Female Arrested, Forcibly Strip Searched Nude by Ohio Male Cops." The video was pretty brutal. We only have a little portion of it. What's funny is that there were a lot of other videos going on at the same, or a lot of other cameras that were filming it. We even see cameras filming this event, but of course those films don't exist. We're not given them by the police, so we can't prove what's going on. Apparently everything was done by the book, despite the fact that, this woman was left naked in her cell for 6 hours. Of course, she was the one that called the police initially because she was the victim, and forcibly strip searched while screaming for them to stop. There's something really wrong with this. I can't do justice to what I see when I see this video. You really have to watch it for yourself. But it got me to thinking, what could we do about this? And it seems to me that we kind of ask for this in the sense, don't get me wrong, we don't want it to happen, but think of how our police stations in police hiring is. Most people who apply to be police officers are of the thuggish variety already. And the qualifications that are looked for aren't, besides just having a clean record, are basically, military experience, things that would desensitize people to treating other people poorly. Part of the problem I think we've got is that we hire police for strength, not for character. If we hired police based on their goodness rather than their strength, it would be a different situation. But, of course, you'd have to say, well, how do we do that? Because it seems that mainly only the thuggish variety of people want to be police officers, and, well, what are you going to do about that? I think a kind of legislation could be passed. Now, just imagine this for me. A kind of legislation that reconstitutes the whole system of, hiring police officers. Now, what's interesting is we could do a sort of, empathy test. Empathy can be measured physiologically. You can do it with a machine, or you could do it with, a psychiatrist, and, things like that. And it's interesting because we could actually, implement this sort of technology to help us find, the people who have empathy for other people, rather than, desensitized thugs to hire as policemen. And, I think, because obviously somebody could say, well, thugs would probably get in anyway. But if we change the hiring practices, entirely revamp them towards hiring, people for their morality, for their character, then, and we have these kind of tests, these machines that can physiologically measure feelings of empathy or things like that, it probably couldn't be fooled. So, you couldn't get around something like that. So, I think we could pass a legislation or introduce some kind of legislation in this regard, and I think it would really, really, really minimize our incidence of police brutality, because the people that are police officers now, after watching, there's really nothing that needs to be said on that.